Hello, hello. Are we a go? Are we a go? Let me check. Let's see if everything is good. Um, I thought I tweeted this. I didn't tweet this. Then I shared this. Oh boy. Um, where do I share? Uh, I don't know how to share, huh? Oh, here. There we go. Oh, what's dumb of me? Okay, there we go. Let's see if you could, guys, you could hear me well. You hear me well? That sounds good. Good. Alrighty. Okay, so if you're watching, you're watching. If you're not, then you don't know. Um, I want to talk about something called and I figured I would just go on the regular webcam, and not have the other screen up, um, where you could see my desktop screen. I figured I'll just do it this way, and then if I need to, I'll hit the board. Uh, Although I don't think I'm going to. Let me just take a quick refresher on here. Oh, finish this shit off here. A little bit left. So it doesn't have to bother me anymore. I can just focus on this. Figured it'd be more authentic if I had this. Alrighty. Okay. All right. So, what is Tocqueville's or a Tocqueville paradox, also known as the Tocqueville effect? So, I came across this term a couple of weeks ago or something, maybe a couple months, and being that I'm a student of Tocqueville, um, uh, I should say prospective student um, of Tocqueville. Uh, that alone piqued my interest. But then, basically, one of the greatest joys, not the greatest, but one of like the top joys in my life is when I find a word or a term for something that up to that point I knew about, but didn't know, couldn't cognize in that way. Something that like I always knew was true, or something that I knew was the case, but I never put words to it for whatever reason. Yeah. And so this is one of those cases, and this is absolutely something that's one of those things like hidden gem, or you know, probably one of the reasons why society is the way it is, because information like this is, if 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 30% of the people knew what, this kind of information, society would get better by, several orders of magnitude just overnight. um People would become smarter in a snap. you know the oligarchs will become less powerful immediately. I mean, it's an overall, all around, uh, uh, pro bono thing, or I'm sorry, was it bene fide? Yeah, it's bene fides. So, of course, I come across it on Wikipedia, which Wikipedia is the only institution I've ever donated to. Because I use it a lot, and they ask for so little. But for the last couple of years, or something, like last 2 years or 3 years, probably since, you know since since that thing happened, um, I haven't been giving it, because it's you know just too much censorship on their part. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of great stuff there. There's a lot of great stuff on Wikipedia. A lot of stuff that you would be surprised in terms, considering all the censorship and the direction of the censorship. There's really telling articles there. I, I do I I believe that some of the articles are written by AI, in the sense that the AI scours the net for, basically, it, themes for a page, or themes of a page. Sorry. So they'll basically see, like, maybe probably like a cluster analysis, and they see, okay, here's a lot of, nodes that are, intersecting, and they have like only a few edges between one another. Let's say, like, I forgot what the, when you're doing network theory, what the number is to calibrate how many. Forget what it's called. Some a degree of something, I forget. But let's say it's a few degrees of freedom or something like that. Just, it's real tight, cluster. Yeah, it probably picks that up and says, okay, do this. Then it creates the topic label, and then it takes maybe either the best example of a definition, or just puts it on its own together. But anyway, so, um, what is this thing I'm talking about, right? So what is this? So the Tocqueville effect, as Wikipedia here, reading it, reading from there. The Tocqueville effect, also known as the Tocqueville paradox, is a phenomenon in which social conditions and opportunities improve social frustration I'm sorry, a phenomenon in which, as social conditions and opportunities improve, social frustrations grow more quickly. The effect is based on Alexis de Tocqueville's observations on the French Revolution and later reforms in Europe in the United States. Another way to describe the effect is the aphorism: the appetite grows by what it feeds on, which is a great term, or a great aphorism. For instance, after greater social justice is achieved, there may be more fervent opposition to even smaller in social injustices than before. The effects are just a link between social equality, or concessions, and by the regime, social equality or recessions by the regime, and unintended consequences as social reforms can raise expectations that can't be matched. According to the Tocqueville effect, a revolution is likely to occur after an improvement in social conditions, in contrast to Marx's theory of revolution as a result of progressive immersion of the proletariat. I can't never say that word. Uh, deteriorate, det, um, de- detri- deterioration, deterioration of conditions. In 1949, Harlan Cleveland induced the concept of a revolution of rising expectations, which, in his Cold War context, he considered particularly relevant to the Third World. Relatedly, political scientist James Chowning Davies has proposed a J curve of resolutions, which contends that periods of wealth and advancement are followed by periods of worsening conditions, leading to a revolution. Ted um, Ted Robert Gore, I don't know, it's Gurr. I don't know how to say that. Also used the term relative deprivation to put forth that revolutions happen when is an expectation of improvement and a harsh reality in contrast. There is increased chance of the Tocqueville paradox happening in centrally planned but locally implemented reforms. When local implementations fail, I'm sorry, falls short of the higher reference point. And this is the original from Democracy in America, which is Tocqueville's masterpieces, is magnum opus, um, written in 1840. So yeah, if you don't know, basically, after Napoleon and all that stuff, uh, the second, I think Napoleon II, under him, he Tocqueville came over here to America under the reign of Napoleon II, and I don't know if Napoleon sent him or not, but he came here during that time to basically, he was a political scientist or a sociologist before that even existed. Essentially, you know, he was like a proto social scientist, and he just wanted to know what America's like, and want to study it basically to see what's unique about it. And it's a fascinating work, because it has so many key insights on what makes America exceptional, and and also has much foreshadowing and warnings for phenomenon we take for granted today, or that are that we are currently in contention with or conflict with. Um, so it's a great work. You could basically read it for free, um, or you could buy it. So anyway, so this effect, Tocqueville effect, Tocqueville paradox, um, comes from this passage in that book. It says, the hatred that men bear to privilege increases in proportion as privileges become fewer and less considerable, so that the democratic passions would seem to burn most fiercely just when they have least fuel. I have allegedly given the reason for this phenomenon. When all conditions are unequal, no inequality is so great as to offend the eye, whereas the slightest dissimilarity is odious in the midst of general uniformity. It's like the sore thumb. The more complete this uniformity is, the more insupportable the sight of such a difference becomes. Hence, it is natural that the love of equality should constantly increase together with equality itself, and that it should grow by what it feeds on. But when he says should, he's not saying that he wants that to happen. He's just defining it. Saying what its conditions are. It's this old timey way of doing it. Um, in the sense, like if I said, you know, uh, people from the Netherlands are on average the tallest in Europe. Therefore, this person should be over 6 feet or over this that this Dutch person that you're about to meet that you've never met before. Uh, because of that being the case in Europe, they should be 6 feet tall or at least 6 feet. So you know that's what you know. I know that's the most tangential fucking thing in the world, but now you know why, and you could use it somehow. Hopefully, anyway. So oh, and he also wrote this in The Old Regime and the Revolution, which is his other book, which is on the uh, the outcome of the French Revolution, which is good for that. Um, he says the regime that a revolution destroys is almost always better than the one that immediately preceded it. And experience teaches that the most dangerous time for a bad government is usually when it begins to reform. That's so astute. So let's see here. Oh, good look at that. Okay. Yeah, so that's very astute. Um, I got cotton mouth like a mup. I didn't curse. I didn't curse. All right. Anyway, so yeah, so I wanted to explain this using a metaphor, and I got the board behind me, so I kind of want to use the board as well. Um, okay, so here. Hold this up so I can see myself. Okay. So let me see if I could zoom in here a bit. Okay, all right, so that should be good enough. Yeah, so here's my board. I know there's a bunch of shit on it. This right here is actually pretty interesting. I'm not going to get into it, but this explains what makes that right there explains what makes the left different from the right. Not just like uh, substantially in terms of like policies, but in terms of just like in in its essence, like what makes it left. You know, um, is it just arbitrary? Is it just antagonism? Like what is it? And, yeah, I explained it there, and it's so simple because I love making things simple, things that you can unpack. That's like the engineer in me, create like models and stuff like that. Anyway, um, so let me so, so the way I like to explain this, I usually like to explain this Tocqueville paradox, using analogy of two homes, right? And by the way, oh shit. I usually have used this, not for this is actually the first time I'm using it for Tocqueville Paradox, but I've used it in the past for the difference between how America's seen on the world stage versus um, developing nations. Um, so once I write everything out, that would be clear to you. Um, okay. So yeah, so imagine two homes. I'm going to be drawing the floor plan of the homes, right? Blue blueprints, right? Blue and green. Imagine two homes. Yeah. So let's give them some rooms here. So you have two homes, right? Now let's say you're comparing how dirty they are to each other, right? Let's say the first home has um, all the rooms are dirty. Hold on. I want to figure out who's the good guy here. What color is the good guy? Blue's the good guy, right? Okay. So let's say this is a home that's all clean except for this table right here. Or I'm sorry, this room. Let's say this is like a bathroom or something. So it's the whole house is clean, kitchen, everything, except for the bathroom. Let's say, or kitchen, which have you. It's just yeah. So let's say this is all dirtiness. Yeah. Wasn't that awesome? I got brown. I can do this here. Gotta make it ugly looking. I'm gonna drive the point home. Okay. So all clean, but dirty ass bathroom. Now imagine in this situation the exact inverse, right? So we're gonna do two at the same time, right? Get creative. Uh, all dirty, 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 everything dirty, 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 dirty. Oh, filthy, disgusting, everywhere. Yeah. It's like hoarding situation. So it's all filth. A hoarding of animals and who knows. But but bathroom is clean. See that? So okay. Now let's say there's I don't know a crowd that is anticipating to judge how clean each one between them, right? And so when you go to the first one, it doesn't matter. that everything else is clean because this sticks out, and what sticks out happens to be filthy. This becomes a huge problem. So the people that come into the crowd that comes into this house is like, that's horrible. How dare you? It's you know, don't ever invite me here again and all that shit, right? So uh, that becomes the rest of the clean house, no matter the floors could be shining and there may not be a touch of dust on any furniture. It doesn't matter because the focus is now on the dirtiness. Now, conversely, when the crowd walks into this home, they basically see everything dirty. But what sticks out? What's clean, right? So the cleanness stuff, or the clean room, is the glaring thing that overshadows the rest of the house. And so you can see that this is a kind of a form of Tocqueville's paradox, but kind of static in time. Um, and so what this teaches us essentially is that being the amelioration of things, right? The improvement of things. That I didn't finish this here. So one of the things the crowd would say, right? One of the things the crowd would say to the guy with the mostly dirty house, they'd say things like, "Man, you're doing such a great job," starting with this. Now, the way I compare this to other nations, right, is here's America, right, where we get everything mostly clean, but we got some dirty shit going on. Like let's say Bush with the fucking Iraq War and the who really did 9/11 and stuff like that, which I'm about to get into in not this video. I'm going to go on Twitch in a little while and going to talk about the science behind 9/11 truth. Science and research behind it, stuff that most people have never seen, and that changes the game. Anyway, so yeah, so when people consider America, especially foreignly, they see the Iraq War and all that stuff here, and they ignore the fact that you can't just get pulled over in a any city or town or even a small town in America and just expect you can bribe the police officer. I remember even before I became like tasked by God to do this American exceptionalism project. Uh, Even before all that, um, I when I remember considering maybe this is like 2015, maybe 2017. I was like, almost every other country you could, like even Mexico and stuff, you could literally bribe the person that you're getting pulled over by, and it's almost like not encouraged, but expected. And yet in America, there's no way for that. And I'm like, why is that the case? Why is it that we have laws that people follow, and in other nations they do so more pragmatically, right? Whether or not they want to, follow the laws, and yet here we do so, ideally. And so that kind of struck me back then. I was like, that's strange about us, But now, I see it more as obviously because that's, I mean, I tweeted this a while ago. America doesn't have the best people. Thank you for the like. Thank you for the like. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. It means a lot to me. It really does. Um, America doesn't have the best people. America brings the best out of people. So that's why you could go to if you're an American, you'd say you could go to Italy and move there and live there for 40 years. It doesn't matter how long you live there. The people in your town are always going to know you as the American. They may like you. You might speak fluent Italian. You may eat all the same foods they eat, and even look like them to a degree. It doesn't matter. You're always going to be the American. Yet you have an immigrant who comes here, and then within a year or 5 years, after being, assimilated to a degree, they they're an American, and we call them an American. This is, America is a project. It's not a nation. Every other nation is about like, blood and soil and just being around an area. And this is just the people we, grew up with over time in this area. So we're going to identify, we speak a certain way to each other. We don't speak with anybody else. But America's not like that. America's a modern nation in the sense that it has or even, no, we'll say modern. I was going to say, dare I say postmodern, but no, we're not going there. But it's a modern nation. And, it's essentially a project, and this is what made America so robust in the in the 1800s. You had all these volunteer organizations outside of government, not even like not planned by government, not people in government weren't aware of them, weren't keeping up with them. It's just people on their own coming up with, organizations, things that became stuff like insurance companies, which back then were mutual aid societies. People basically putting their money into one big pool so that everyone who's doing that can have a resource for if they get sick or they some accident or something, and which essentially it's that's insurance, right? um, and all that was created with no central planning. It was just so I always say that America is like you're bringing out the best in someone. You're unleashing the human spirit in a way that has never done before. You can't have America's about literally unshackling yourself from the prior social hierarchies and expectations and all that. So, you know, for instance, my last name has to do with making cauldrons. That the people going back were basically Sephardic Jewish people making cauldrons. And so, if you were someone in a certain town making cauldrons, and you wanted instead to be a sailor, and you went to a seafaring town, whatever, they'd laugh at you. They say, no, you're not a sailor. Your father has to be a sailor. America changed all that. Now there comes some issues with that in the sense of like there's for instance, drinking went astronomical like in the first few decades after the revolution, or really after the Constitution was implemented, because it's almost like like when, oh shit, sorry, it's almost like when you go to college and that first year or that first semester, and it's the first time you're away from home and you don't know like how to take care of yourself all the way. So you go crazy on things, but then you eventually course correct. Even though you had like that first semester, you gained 30-40 pounds, you flunked half your classes or more, and but eventually you realize, oh, okay, this is what it means to live on your own, right? And you course correct. America was the same way. In the time after the revolution, you literally had the drinking was something like a fifth of a gallon on average a day for men, women, and children. You know, or I mean, children a little less, but children were drinking a lot too. But we ended up course correcting, right? So freedom, in that sense, we're unleashing the human spirit, and there's, some rough edges, but then over time it gets smoothed over because people see themselves and they say, okay, wait, this isn't good, and they course correct. There's some extremes that help pull it along, but ultimately there's a happy middle where it gets better and better. And so America, in a nutshell, makes the world, ameliorates the world. So I get my definition of American exceptionalism from George Washington and his circular letter. Yeah, I lost both my viewers. At least I still got a like. That's nice. Anyway, so what we need to know about the Tocqueville paradox. Well, let me tie it to what I've been talking about. So you have an unleashing of the spirit, human spirit, and then what happens? You have a period of basically excess, period to learn, right? And then that period of excess, you know, boundaries are discovered, right? Limits are discovered. things that you later respect. Now, I mean this very delicately, right? When um when you see people that, today, let's say like black activists, right? Um Today, decry things like, the prison system or police brutality or, lack of economic opportunities in majority black neighborhoods and inner cities in general. Um, to that effect, rural too. But anyway, um, they decry it loudly, right? They do so passionately, um, sometimes to the point of being Maldian. But regardless, it's done with, it's not um, quaint, right? Now it's objectively clear that things have gotten better, even if progress hasn't in most areas has been fulfilled. It still has gotten better, and yet the abolitionists decried slavery loudly, but not with the kind of zeal, or not zeal, not zeal. It was less. It wasn't as hedonic, or I'm sorry, not hedonic. I'm sorry, histrionic. That it was much more histrionic now. That it's much more histrionic now, compared to back then, even though things have gotten better. And that is something that is very, 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 very important. Um, Now, let me get rid of this here. So, in a nutshell, the Tocqueville Paradox says as things get better, people complain. Whatever's left over, people complain more and more about. Now, you could imagine a society where things are getting better and better and better, and yet the scandalousness of the residual uh, is so potent, so raucous, that it almost seems like this is the worst thing that's ever happened. Even though you're by all other means eradicating or ameliorating most of it. I mean, so you might say, well, man, human beings are broken or something. No, no, not at all. This is really how our mind works. Things that stand out become more cognizant, become more, you become more aware of them. And so the way we remedy this Tocqueville paradox is simply with knowledge of how it works. That it exists, even, you know, so people can catch themselves and work through their own biases. And that's exactly what people need to know. So, like I said, if 30%, hell, if even 10% of the people knew about this, I may even say 5% even, but definitely 10% knew about this, that would change, life would get a lot better for everyone on earth. I'm serious, because it's such a deep insight that is, once you see it, it's obvious. And we probably, like I said, I had a name for it or thought about what it is, but yeah, it's pretty respectable. Right? So the lesson learned is that we have to anticipate the uh, the cries of activists to get louder over the years. That we can't just expect that to go away, um, and that we have to work through it. Don't tell me I was on mute the whole fucking time. Don't tell me that shit. Don't fucking tell me that shit. I'm gonna be pissed. I was on mute the whole fucking time. No fucking way. Okay, good. I'm good. I wasn't on mute the whole fucking time. So that's good to know. Um, anyway, so I'm gonna return, but this time I'm gonna be on Twitch, and I'm gonna basically explore the peer-reviewed and independent studies that challenge the official story of 9/11. Um, stuff that and other forms of research too. But this would be like the deep cuts of 9/11 truth research, stuff that is almost never seen when most people, if you were to do Google or DuckDuckGo search, or any web searching search engine, you would find, just by putting 9/11 truth, you're not going to find these um, um, instances and articles of research. Um, so if you think 9/11 truth and you're familiar with it, no, you're going to learn something new. You know, very few people won't learn something new. If you don't learn something new, it's because you're already making 9/11 truth content. You've been doing so for over a decade, um, like me. But anyway, so this was like a little experiment. As you can see, I haven't posted a video in a while. Although I have two videos um, that are in private, and they're basically from a couple weeks ago, and then another one from a couple months ago, and I have them in private because of several reasons. But maybe one day, if it ever works out for me, I could include it as bonus footage for some generous patrons. Anyway, so I'll be back in a little bit on Twitch. So follow me on Twitter, um, and that's where you'll see or follow me on, I guess, on Twitch directly if you like. Um, it's Meta underscore myself, on both on Twitter and on Twitch. So, um, okay, okay, what the hell? The UFO. Um, I think I'm just gonna leave this up. I think I'll leave it up, even though my hair is all looking beastly. I gotta get a haircut soon. You know, but yeah, I'm probably gonna leave this up. Sorry if my voice is too not raunchy, rumbly. If I should talk like this, it'd be better, right? Anyway, okay. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I might even love you. All right. Goodbye. See you soon.